Well, good morning. Here we are, my friend, November 29th, and things are shaking out.
Yeah, to say the least, big things are happening. We might have to hop on here again later this afternoon with another update, hopefully. So,
Yeah, there are some signings going on, and in true Blue Jays fashion, they have managed to get the guy that they were after. You could tell that Kevin Gausman was a target right from the beginning. I mean, we joked about this last episode that he's sort of turned into the Jay Bruce of now, right? Where he's always linked to the Jays and just
yeah.
never seems to happen. But it happened. And one of the deadliest splitters in baseball today is going to
hmm
be at the Rogers Center in 2022. Pretty exciting stuff, man. So let's unpack this. A little bit of stuff to go over, obviously. Gosman gets 5 years, $110 million. So they opened up the checkbook for him.
hmm
You look at what just happened. I know the news just broke that Max Scherzer is headed to New York. He's going to be donning that Mets uniform, and they signed him for 3 years, $130 million, which, I don't know, after seeing that, I'm like, hey, $110 million, that's not too bad for 5 years of Kevin Gausman.
No, it's exciting. I don't think it was a bargain by any stretch of the imagination, but I
No.
also don't think we really had to overpay. I think we got pretty well fair market value for him, and I think considering we did have to overpay to get George Springer to come to Toronto, I think that's a very encouraging sign.
Interestingly enough, too, there were other offers that were right in the same realm as the Jays, and Gausman preferred Toronto. And it's kind of cool because Kevin Gausman has been being wooed by this front office, and like we touched on there, for a couple years now. And they had a multi-year deal on the table for him last year. He chose to go back to San Francisco on the qualifying offer and make that $18 million. And it paid off because now he's making an average of around $23 million a year. Gausman made his MLB debut in Toronto, and he really likes the city, so there's a little bit of romance there to him coming to the Jays. And this is interesting, too, because if you start to look at just the longevity of this Toronto Blue Jays starting rotation currently, I mean, nobody made more starts last year in the American League than Jose Barrios, but also, nobody made more starts than Kevin Gausman in the National League. So that's a couple workhorses at the top of
Hey
that
man,
rotation.
the best ability is availability, right? We've said it time and time
Yeah.
again. That's it's just
Now,
so nice to know that those 60 games are accounted for.
yeah, it's a big deal to know that your starter is going to go out there. He's going to pitch 5, 6 innings, and he's going to do it every 5 days.
Yeah. So, I mean, let's look at the rotation now. We've got how would you rank these? Is Gossman
I
our
would
ace or
say,
is Barrios
I
our
would say,
ace?
I would say Barrios is our ace, and
Yeah,
then
he's
you
getting the
go
opening day
Gausman.
start.
Yeah, I think Gosman is right after him, and then Manoa and Ryu. Now, interestingly, this starting rotation has gone from left-handed heavy to they probably need another lefty. You know,
Yeah.
Ryu is the only guy there throwing from the left side, and you would like to break up the righties if you can. So we'll see. The Jays obviously are not finished with their starting pitching yet. Most likely, I would say trade is probably where they get that
hmm
final piece. We'll see what happens there. I know while we're talking about guys getting signed, like Marcus Semien was just taken by the Texas Rangers yesterday, 7 years, $175 million, which all of a sudden makes me go, maybe we got a deal with George Springer. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
so draft pick compensation coming on him. So
hmm
the Blue Jays are receiving some picks. Does Kevin Gausman signing, in your opinion, mean Robbie Ray is out?
Probably.
I would think so too, right?
We're he's going. Robbie Ray is going to get a similar contract, if not bigger and longer.
Yes.
And I
I
just
can't see the Jays doing that again, right?
I can't see them doing it either. I can see them spending like some prospect capital to
Yeah.
go out and add another top of the rotation guy. Like if we have Barrios, Gossman, and like a Castillo or any of these guys
Right.
that we can trade for. I mean, our lineup can be awesome, but we don't necessarily have to break our backs on the payroll end, right? Like we have some some prospects to spend. So I just don't know why we wouldn't do it at this point. We made our big splash with a pitcher. I think we, at this point, need to prioritize our infield.
And I think that's the next
in terms of
move
free
here,
agency,
I would agree
right?
with that.
Yeah.
I do wish to touch on Ryu really quickly while we're talking the starting rotation because, man, now that he's in that 4-hole, like, and the expectations on him are not to lead this team to the promised land, just to be a successful piece.
Look, Ryu
And
as a number 4 is amazing.
Like,
that's
he's
awesome.
a wily guy, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I think that Ryu, we're going to see some big stuff out of him this next year now that the pressure is off of him. He doesn't need to be the guy anymore. Well, I think we're going to see Alek Manoah take a step forward. Man, this top 4 is honestly probably the best top 4 in the American League East right now. And that's exactly where we need to be. They're not done yet, but, you know, if we see Nate Pearson take a step forward and break into this starting rotation, that's pretty darn cool. But again, I think a lefty is something that they're going to be after and pursuing and wishing to break up these right-handers in this starting rotation. We did pick up as well bullpen piece Yimi Garcia. He was with the Miami Marlins last year, of course, at the trade deadline because he was a free agent. He was one of the guys that was moved. The Astros picked him up. He performed very well in Miami, and then he struggled a little bit in Houston. But this is a guy that's a very versatile dude. He can pitch in the 6th. He can pitch in the 7th. We may see him close some games. I don't think he's going to knock off Jordan Romano at the back end of that bullpen. And I think that the Jays are also still going to add a couple of pieces there. However, interesting add. And I like that they jumped on that before this December 1st deadline, before the lockout type of thing. So that's great, especially when you're seeing some of those bullpen pieces getting paid big. You know, you watch Darren Lou get 2 years, $17 million, and you're like, okay, 11 for Garcia is not bad.
Not bad.
Again, trade is where I think we're going to see the rest of this stuff fall out for the Blue Jays. Corey Seager is expected to sign sometime today. There are going to be a bunch of signings as teams are trying to get under the wire and get their physicals and stuff done before Wednesday.
I guess we'll see you again maybe this afternoon.
Yeah. Did you have anything else to add on this at all, buddy?
Not on this. I did have one thing that's kind of off topic, but if anybody is playing McDonald's Monopoly, just a reminder that any of your free coffees and stuff do expire tomorrow. So go cash in your donuts and your Egg McMuffins today while you still can.
Just a real looking out for the betterment of everybody, eh, buddy?
Absolutely.
All right, gang. Thanks so much for listening. As always, we really appreciate it. You can follow us at Walk Off Podcast on Twitter, the Walk Off Podcast on Instagram. We are going to do the mailbag tomorrow, so you can feel free to get your comments and your questions in. And then, as always, our podcast runs every single Friday. If you didn't check out last episode yet, it was with Sportsnet analyst Shai Davidi, and we really delve into everything Blue Jays. I mean, you just need to imagine that all our Kevin Gausman talk eventually happens. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Cheers, gang.